Chapter 17. It is called Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, which means unitive recognition of the three patterns of faith. The 16th chapter ends with a note saying that a person should follow scriptures, Shastra Pramana, meaning taking the authority of scriptures. Here, another view is presented, and that is the view of the unorthodox believer. People who have faith but do not follow any orthodox pattern, which is really the majority of people. But many people have got faith, and that is what Shraddha means. Shraddha means faith, or belief, or confidence. So this has a subjective side. Subjective means what a person feels inside, and it has an objective aspect. Objective aspect means how a person expresses that inner feeling. So one is the expression of that faith, and the other is the inner feelings of a person, the subjective feelings. These two combine and form the pattern of behavior. A person has a certain pattern of behavior. He has a certain lifestyle, and sometimes he even belongs to a certain group. So what is the factor that determines this attraction towards a certain particular type of Shraddha or faith? And that is the subject of this chapter. It starts with Arjuna asking the question that what is the status in faith, O Krishna, of those who disregarding scriptural injunctions sacrifice with faith? Is it pure clear, is it affective active, or is it inert dark? In chapter 14 we have already studied the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. The three gunas form the basic building blocks of prakriti, of nature. Nature is composed of these three qualities. Quality of sattva, which is clarity, and the quality of rajas, which is activity, kinetics, and the quality of tamas, which is inertia and darkness. So these three qualities of nature constitute a person also. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Krishna says, Trividha bhavati shraddha. That means the faith of a person is of three kinds. Trividha. Born of their own nature. Swabhava. Swabhava means one's own innate disposition, one's nature. We have three factors called Swarupa, Swabhava and Swadharma. Swarupa means our form, our physical form. There are people who have different physical forms. No two people are exactly alike. Each person has an individual form, a unique form, a unique Swarupa. Each person also has a unique Swabhava, disposition, his nature. A person may be calm, a person may be short-tempered, a person may be hardworking, a person may be musically inclined, a person may be good in business, a person may be good in writing, a person may be good in sports. So all these different aspects make up a person's swabhava. And then there is swadharma, means one's own expression, how a person can do something efficiently. That is one's own dharma, swadharma. And it is by doing one's own dharma that a person feels real happiness. Every person should know what his or her own swadharma is and should pursue one's own swadharma. So knowing about swadharma is also one of the central teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. It is very important to know what is one's own swadharma and to choose a lifestyle that is in harmony with one's own swadharma. Then there is no conflict. Conflict arises when one's swadharma and one's way of life, they do not match. They are not in harmony. Then a person feels dissatisfied, disoriented. So Swarupa, Swabhava and Swadharma. If we understand these three factors, then it helps us to guide our lives meaningfully. Here we are talking of Swabhava, innate disposition or one's own nature. So one's own nature will determine the type of faith a person has or the type of Shraddha a person has. If a person has got a sattvic nature, he will have a sattvic Shraddha, or his faith will be sattvic. If a person is rajasic by nature, or if he is a passionate person, naturally his faith will also show characteristics of passion. And if a person is tamasic, if he is ignorant, then naturally his faith also will have characteristics of ignorance. So this is a shastra, this is a science. So it is just telling us exactly how things are. It is not saying one is superior or one is inferior. It is just presenting the three types of faith, three types of shraddha. Then we come to number 3. Sattva anurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddhavayo ayam purusho yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. The faith of everyone is shaped according to their true nature. O Bharata, man is made of his faith, and of what faith a man is, even that he is. Just as we discussed, that the subjective aspect of a person, what a person thinks and feels within himself, that will be expressed in his outside life. That will be his distinguish marks. It is with those qualities that persons will recognize him. People will classify him as a person with certain marks according to his own nature. If he has a devotional nature, people will say he is a bhakta. If he likes to work for the welfare of others, they will say, oh, he is a karma yogi. If he is very learned, they will say, oh, he is a jnani. And if he likes to be in meditation, they will say, oh, he is a Raj Yogi. So according to his nature, whatever is his inner nature, that will be expressed as his faith. Now we come to a more detailed description. Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshamsi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganamscha anye yajante tamasa janaha. So this is the diagnosis that pure clear men or sattvic people, they worship the divinities. Divinities means the devas. Devas are clear, bright and positive gods. Or they are the teachers and the gurus and the wise and learned people. So sattvic people will feel attracted towards such people. People who have learning, people who are pure, people who are bright. Whereas the rajasic people, active, passionate, they will worship the gods of eating and wealth. That is the yaksha. Yaksha is god of eating and wealth. And rakshamsi, gods of ferocity and violence. So in their minds, they will conceive of their god as a fierce god who is capable of killing and capable of destroying and capable of violence, and they will offer food to their gods. So there is a coloration here. Their values are like action, active. They are rajasic people. So rajasic people like action and activity. Now we come to the third category, anye tamasaha. That means the others, the tamasic people, they worship the spirits of the dead, preta, and the bhutagana, the host of elemental beings. They are gone into the negative side and they are worshipping darker forces because that is all they can understand. They cannot appreciate the devans, they cannot appreciate the other gods, but they resort to the preta bhuta. Moreover, ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha dambha ahankara samyuktaha kama raga balanvitaha. There are those people who practice very intense and difficult types of tapasyas, like standing on bed of nails, swimming in icy cold waters, sitting in the middle of the fire, all kinds of torturing the body. And they hope that by this kind of tapasya, they will get some spiritual powers. Ashastra vihitam. So no shastra recommends this kind of tapasya. But they have got pride. They are suffering from pride and egoism. And because of that hypocrisy and egoism, they take to this very dark and extreme form of tapasya. Because of kama, raga, bala, anvitaha. Along with lust, passion and power. This is very impure. See, when people have rajas and tamas, it is impurities. And because of that impurity, their bhakti also, their shraddha also becomes impure. So when we say a person should become sattvic, what we are saying is that person should purify his life. As his life becomes more and more purified, more and more clean, then his bhakti also becomes clean. But if his mind is full of kama and raga, kama means passion and lust and power. He's power crazy, he likes to be powerful. So these are all egoistic tendencies. And as long as there is egoistic tendencies, a person cannot have that pure mind and therefore cannot get the pure shraddha also. Karshayanteha sharirastham bhutagramam achetasaha mam chayeva antah sharirastham tan vidya asuri nischayan. So he is even describing the darker side of the bhaktas. This is to always avoid any kind of shraddha which is torturing the body, which is giving pain and which is producing discomfort. That sort of austerity, that sort of tapasya should not be done. Relativistic purusha affected by gunas, spirit is left untouched. So there is torturing in the name of faith. In the medieval days in Europe, the church fathers, they used to really torture themselves. They used to wear very coarse cloth made of sackcloth, which used to hurt the body. And they used to sleep on the hard stone bed and live in very, very cramped small cells. They used to think that they are practicing austerities. By that they are worshipping God. But really that sort of torturing is not to be done. Why? Because God is living inside our body. God is dwelling inside us itself. And by doing this sort of austerities and this sort of harsh practices, it troubles the Lord who is seated in the body. And therefore these kind of tapasyas, where a lot of difficulty is put to the body, is called asuri. It's called demonic. So on one side you have the lustful and the other side is the demonic, the passionate and the demonic. These kind of austerities should be avoided. This kind of tapasya should not be done. Now we come to a more detailed description of the characteristics of a person who is of a proper temperament. Now we know the type of austerity that should not be done. Now we are told of the type of austerity that is practiced by the three types of devotees. Aharastvapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yajñas tapas tatha danam tesham bhedam imam shrunu. Now he is going to give the bhed, or he is going to give the distinction between types of food that is dear to each of these three types of personalities, and also yajñaha, the type of sacrifices they do, and also tapaha, the type of tapasya they do, and also the type of dan they do. Because these three things purify us. How does a human being purify himself? By doing yajna, by doing tapasya, and by doing dana. By giving gifts to right people, we purify ourselves. By doing tapasya of the right type, we purify ourselves. And by doing the right type of yajna, also we purify ourselves. So what is the right type of yajna? What is the right type of dana? And what is the right type of tapasya? That shall be now described. So even common things like food matters. From looking at the type of food a person eats, you can diagnose, you can say what sort of a person he is. Ayuhu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasyaha snigdhaha sthira hridya ahara satvika priya. So the sattvic people will prefer this kind of food. That is, ayuhu means it will promote life, it will bring longevity and vitality and bring bala, strength, it gives strength, and brings arogya, health. So that food which is healthy, which will bring strength, which will promote life, which will bring vitality, which will bring joy, sukha. After eating it you feel happy, and bring cheerfulness, which has good taste in it, rasa, and which has got snigdha, it is rich, it is not dry but it is rich, and it is sthira, it is substantial, and it is appealing, it is served well, it looks good, everything about it is appealing. That is sattvic ahara. Now we come to the rajasic person. Now rajasic person is interested in pampering taste, junk food. It has got not much nutritive value, but it pampers your taste buds, but it does not have any beneficial effect on your health. It can actually spoil your health. So that Rajasic people will prefer Katu, Amala, Lavana, Ati, Ushna, Tikshana, Ruksha, Vidahinaha. Ahara, Rajasaya, Ishta, Dukkha, Shokamaya, Pradaha. So this food will be strongly flavored, very pungent or very sour, or it will have other strong flavors. Amala, it will be sour or it will be saline. Atyushna Tikshana, very, very hot, pungent. Or it can be very dry and burning. These sort of foods are liked by Rajasic people. Because it is pampering only to the taste bud, but it does not contain any real nutrition or does not contain anything that can really help the person's vitality or health, it produces indigestion, it produces disease, so it brings unhappiness, pain and indisposition. It is tasty to eat, but it brings indisposition. So most of these foods which are had only for pampering the taste, but are not good for health, that is a Rajasic indication. See the difference between a Sattvic food, which is promoting health, vitality, is tasty, it's such a perfect kind of a meal. To Rajasic now, in the Rajasic food, only taste is taken into account, not its beneficial effect. Now we come to the third type, where there is no choice, the Tamasic. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushtitam chayat uchishtatam api cha medhyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. That which is left over and it has gatarasam, its rasa has gone, means it has lost its taste. And puti paryushtitam, it is putrid, it has started to get spoilt also. Or it has become stale, it's too old. Or which is refuse, which has been thrown away. Or which is amedhyam. Amedhyam means totally unfit for consumption. That sort of food is welcome to the Tamasic people. Tamasic people, either they have no choice, so they are forced to eat these kind of foods. It has no value whatsoever. So you can imagine what will happen to a person who will be indulging in Tamasic foods. Now we come to the second aspect. We've discussed the three types of food. Now the three types of yajna, three types of sacrifice that we do. Aphala kankshibhir yajno vidhi drishto ya ijyate yashtavyam eveti manaha samadhayas sattvika. That sacrifice, that yajna is sattvic, which is offered aphala akankshibhi. Aphala. Phala means a fruit, thinking of some benefit out of it. But aphala means no desire for gain. Akankshibhir means having no desire. So having no desire for the fruit, the benefit of it, but following vidhi, doing it according to vidhis, according to the injunction. The way it is supposed to be conducted, you conduct it. Iti manaha, thus on the mind, having become tranquil indeed, saying to themselves, this is to be sacrificed, samadhana. But realizing that this is what we should be doing. This is good, this should be done. With that view alone, you do it. Then it becomes sattvic. You think in your mind, this is a good thing, we should do it, so you do it. You don't do it for any benefit. Benefit will come that you don't have to worry about. But here you have a moral imperative. Within you, you feel, your conscience tells you this should be done. And you do it in the right way, following the proper vidhis, without bothering about the fruits of your action. That is considered sattvic. Now we come to the second types. Here the person secretly is hoping that he will get some greater gain out of this. He is offering something, but he hopes that he will gain something more. Abhisandhayatu phalam dambhartham api chaiveva yat ijyate bharata shrestha tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. But that person who does a sacrifice with the expectation of return or dambha ankar, for egoistic show, he thinks by doing this I will get recognition. If that idea comes into a person's mind, then that sacrifice, that yajna becomes rajasic. And then the third type of character, where he does not follow any vidhi, there is no vidhi. He does not follow the rules. Ashrashta annam, and there is no anna, no food distribution, no prasad. Mantra hinam, there is no mantras, proper mantra chanting. Adakshinam, there is no dakshina given to the gurus. Shraddha vihiratam, there is not much of shraddha, no faith. They declare to be tamasam. So tamasic is taken off on a wrong understanding itself. They just do it, probably imitating people. They do the sacrifice, but they don't follow any scriptural rules, There is no food distribution, there is no mantras, there is no dakshinas, and there is no shraddha. That becomes a tamasic sacrifice. So see the moral imperative where there is a conscience and a clear vidhi and a properly conducted sacrifice without expectations of the fruit or the benefit, you say that is sattvic. That's the most superior kind. The next kind is doing a sacrifice but hoping for some result, some benefit, expectation of gain or egoism, egoistic show, then it becomes rajasic. And the third type is where the person does it but does it all wrong, disregards all the rules and the proper propriety, then it becomes tamasic. Now we come to the austerity, tapaha. So first we had 3 types of food, then we had 3 types of yajna or sacrifice. Now we come to the 3 types of tapasya or austerities. Deva, Dvija, Guru, Prajna, Pujanam, Saucham, Arjavam, Brahmacharyam, Ahimsa cha, Shariram, Tapa Uchyate. So worship offered, puja, you worship whom? Deva and Dvija, the gods. And Dvij means wisdom initiates, twice born. And Gurus, spiritual teachers. And Prajna, wise people. So if you are worshipping wise people and the Gurus and the Devas, and you are clean, Shaucham, and you have Arjavam, straightforwardness, there is no crookedness, there is no kind of scheming, just straightforward. And you have Brahmacharya, you have the chaste ways of a wisdom novice, then you have the Sattvic. And Ahimsa, you don't hurt anybody. This is called austerity of the body. How can we discipline our body? We can discipline our body through these ways, by offering puja to the Gurus, by keeping cleanliness, by having straightforwardness, and by practicing brahmacharya. By this our body becomes disciplined, physical body. Now we come to the austerity of speech, our word. How can we discipline our word? We discipline our word by saying anudvegakaram vakyam, never speaking offensive words, always speaking sweet words, kind words, spoken in a nice way. Don't speak offensive speech. Udveg, something which causes offense in the other person. Anudvegakaram vakyam. Satyam priyahitam chayat. It should be truthful, satyam. Priya, it should be pleasant to hear. You can say truthful things, but it may be very unpleasant. So you should say what is truthful and what is also pleasant to hear. And hitam, it brings benefit to the hearer. When you explain something very nicely, when you tell your youngster nicely, sweetly, correct him in a nice way, don't be harsh. You're disciplining your words. So this is how the speech is disciplined. Body is disciplined by serving or offering worship to wise people, and by keeping clean, and by being upright and being straightforward and practicing continence by brahmacharya. And speech is disciplined by speaking inoffensively, speaking what is truthful, speaking pleasantly, and speaking what is beneficial. And moreover, doing swadhyaya means contemplative self-study, spending a few hours or some time every day studying contemplative books, studying scriptural books, studying the works of spiritual teachers, swadhyaya, abhyasanam, self-study. Uchyate tapaha vangmayam. So these constitute the austerity of speech. Now we come to the third austerity or the third discipline, and that is the discipline of the mind. Manaha prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti etat tapo manasam uchyate. Manaha prasada, keeping the mind always happy, mentally being happy, not having mental distress. Saumyatvam, being gentle, being a very gentle person. Maunam means keeping silence. Atma vinigraha, self-restraint. Bhava samshuddhi, that means keeping your imagination always creative and transparent. Creative transparency, it means you use clarity, everything is clear to you. Iti etad uchyate tapaha manasam. So this becomes the austerity of the mind. So we have the austerity, discipline of the body, by respecting and worshipping wise people and teachers, by being straightforward, by being clean, and by practicing continence or brahmacharya. Then we have discipline of speech, by speaking inoffensively, speaking truthfully, speaking pleasantly, speaking beneficially, and doing contemplative self-study. And then we have the discipline of our mind, means our thoughts, by keeping the mind always cheerful, happy, and by being gentle, and by maintaining silence at times, knowing when to be silent, by restraining yourself, and by having an imagination of creative transparency. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastatrividham naraihi aphalakankshibhir yuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity, practiced with transcendent faith by unitively balanced men without desire of gain, is named pure clear. The yajna, dana and tapasya. So right now we learnt about the yajnam or sacrifice, and now we learnt about austerities, the sacrifices and the austerities. And he says, Sat karamana pujartham. This threefold austerity, practiced with transcendent faith by unitively balanced men without desire of gain, is named pure clear. Always doing things without benefit motivation is the mark of a sattvic person. Doing things purely for the sake of doing the act, pure actions, that is a sattvic. Whereas a rajasic action always has in it some return or obligation, so that makes it one step below the sattvic type of attitude or the sattvic austerities. So that austerity which is practiced for gaining honor, respect, reverence, and for the sake of show is named active, passionate, changeful and insecure. So these sattvic austerities, they have long-lasting benefit. They will last with you forever. They will stay with you forever. But the rajasic thing will last for only a short time. If a person does something for gaining respect, it will last only for a short while. Then it will go away. Honor, reverence, or for the sake of show, anything rajasic is changeful and it's insecure. So where is the insecurity coming from? Rajasic things are always insecure. There is a sense of insecurity in it. Why? Because it is by nature always changeful. And that which mudha grahena atmano yat pidaya kriyate tapah. This is a very inferior type. When somebody is foolishly doing it, obstinately, stubbornly, insisting on doing something, even though he realizes that it is not good for him, and it atmanaha pidayate, it means he's torturing the self also. Va artham utsadana parasya. Or he is thinking that by doing this austerity, I will bring the detriment of another, for bringing down somebody else. That is tamasam, udahritam. That austerity which is practiced out of foolish obstinacy, with self-torture or for the detriment of another, is named inagda. So in all the three characteristics here, it is not beneficial at all, because there is obstinacy there. The person does not think he is doing it out of stubbornness and self-torture. As we said, the Lord is residing in the body, so he should not torture. Or he has got bad feelings towards other people. So all this makes it tamasic tapaha. So tapasya also should be sattvic. Now we come to the next discipline, that is giving, datavyam. That means how do you give a gift? Datavyam idi yat danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tad danam satvikam smritam. So that dan which is clearly to be made, given to one from whom no return is expected, in the right place and time, and to a deserving person, that gift is pure clear. You clearly see that a certain person deserves it. He has the qualities, he has the need, he has the responsibility, and he has the right appreciation of that particular gift. So you say, yes, I can give this, he deserves it, he's a deserving person. And when I give this gift to this person, I don't expect now that he shall come and do something for me. It's a gift. Don't expect any return. And at the right time and place, I choose the right time and a right place in an honorable way. I give it to him. That is a sattvic gift. But if somebody gives a gift, you give it and then you think, oh, I shouldn't have given it. Or you give it and you're not decided whether you should give it or not give it. You still regret. After giving it, you feel that you want it back. So that is a rajasic. So there is a wavering there. So yattu pratyupakarana artham, or upakara. You think that I will get some benefit out of this. I am giving this gift and then in return I will also get something or gain in view, some phala out of this. Or reluctantly, I don't want to give it but I feel I must give it to you. That gift is rajasic. And the third type is tamasic gift, adayeshe kale yaddanam. That means you give it at the wrong place, wrong time. Apatrebhyas, no patra. That fellow doesn't deserve it. And you give it also in a asat kritam, disdainfully, and avijñātam, with a bad face and with a temper and with a mood. Tad tamasam udahritam. So that makes it tamasic. Example of tamasic danam. When you go to temples or holy places in India, you'll see beggars are sitting lined up on two sides, and some fellow comes and decides he has to give something to them, and he gives them. He just dumps everything and goes away. And then the beggars themselves start quarreling among themselves. That sort of a danam is typical example of a tamasic danam. So on the other hand, you give a deserving person in an honorable way, at the right time and right place, that becomes a sattvic dana, where it makes the receiver feel happy, makes the giver also feel happy, and it brings a honorable feeling. Whereas the other danam is given with the hope that you will get something in return, or that you are hesitating about it. So that becomes rajasic. So now we have yajna, tapas and dana. The three most important factors which help to purify every person, spiritual purification. And those three again, how they should be converted into a sattvic nature. But this is more or less diagnostic. So just by looking at the way people are doing it, you should be able to diagnose whether it is a sattvic dana, whether it is a rajasic dana, or it is a tamasic dana, whether it's a rajasic tapasya or a sattvic tapasya or a tamasic tapasya, or whether it is a sattvic yajna or a rajasic yajna or a tamasic yajna. Om tad saditi nirdesho brahmanas trividha smritaha. Brahmanas tena vedascha yajnascha vihitaha pura. Now the teaching part is over. We have come to the end where he explains this Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat is an Upanishadic statement. Om Tat Sat. Om, that is real. Om itself is a name for the Absolute, Brahman. The only name that can express Brahman is Om. Om Tat Sat. Tat means that is real. Tat means Brahman. Brahman alone is real. Tadeva Sat. What we see here in this world is unreal. It is changing. It is a process, constantly undergoing transformations. So it cannot be real. But Brahman is real. Brahman cannot be seen with our senses. Senses can only see a partial aspect of Brahman. It cannot comprehend the whole of Brahman. The truth that comes to our senses is only the truth that can be seen as color, as sound, as shape, as taste, as smell. It's only partial truths. But Brahman is the total, and that is the real. So Om Tat Sat, this threefold has been known in the past as designating the Absolute. The scriptures called Brahmanas, the Vedas and sacrifices also by this were prescribed of old. So this is an old tradition that before you start your sacrifice, you said Om Tat Sat. By saying Om Tat Sat, you started your practices. Here a scheme is given of three levels. Tasmad Om iti udahritya yajna dana tapah kriyaha pravartante vidhan oktaha satatam brahmavadinam. Therefore, uttering Om, sacrifice, giving, austerity and action enjoined by scriptural ordinance always begin for those who represent the doctrine of the Absolute. Those who know the Absolute, who are the highest level of realization, they realize this full significance of Om. Then we come to the next level, or 1 degree lower than those who understand the doctrine of the Absolute in terms of wisdom. They say Tat. With Tat, excluding all values of gain, acts of sacrifice and austerity, as also acts of giving of various kinds, are performed by those who desire liberations. So they are still desiring liberation. And if you want to desire liberation, all the tapasya, the yajna and the dana should be given without any expectation of gain. Gain comes, people don't realize that if you do something well, the result will follow automatically. So you don't have to worry about the result. But not knowing that, people try to make their own small plans. Sadbhave sadhu bhavecha saditi etat prayujyate prashaste karmani tatha sat shabdah partha yujyate. So now we come to Sat. Sat means existence, and here we are talking of the existential level. So existence and goodness, where actions and activities are performed. In the existential level only we can act. So all laudable actions, the expression Sat is usually used. So when we talk of Om, we are talking of the realized person. When we talk of Tat, we are talking of the person who is trying for liberation. And when we say Sat, we are talking of person in this world of action, doing laudable actions, doing good actions. Prashaste karmani. The expression Sat is usually applied. So steady loyalty in sacrifice, austerity and giving is also called Sat, and so also action so intended is called Sat. So constancy itself is a spiritual value. By constant, steady loyalty, Sthitaha yajne. Sthitaha yajne means steadiness in sacrifice, so that itself becomes a spiritual value. So being steady and being loyal in yajna, dana and tapa, that is also called Sat. And also action so intended is called Sat. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad iti uchyate partha na cha tad pretya no iha. And the converse, whatever is done without Shraddha, if something is done here without Shraddha, then that is asat, and it has no value. So Shraddha is the most central value for a person's spiritual life. Faith, belief, doing everything with Shraddha. Whatever practice is done should be done with Shraddha. If there is no Shraddha, it becomes asat. Asat means it has no value. Only Sat has value. Sat is existence. Asat means non-existence. So that has no value. So this way this beautiful chapter ends. By this you are diagnosing yourself, you are also diagnosing your fellow human beings,